Okay, so good morning and welcome everyone. Today I felt inspired to look a little bit more closely at some deep Zen teachings that I was reading on my own, and I wanted to share that with everyone here. So that's going to be our morning practice that we're going to work with this morning. And it kind of goes along with what we've been, where we've gotten to in our Buddhist book club, looking at Thich Nhat Hanh talking about this ultimate dimension and this ultimate truth. This is really the business of the main focus of Zen Buddhism. So these teachings will give a quite a direct explanation of that and how to go about having a deeper experience of that. And these teachings are from Zen Master Empty Cloud, Zen Master Su Yun, who was a monk in China during the Cultural Revolution that really revitalized all of Buddhism, all of the Zen schools in China during his era. And it's said that he lived to be more than 120 years old. Just one of the most high level teachers and monks of very mystical style of the past few hundred years. So we really have quite a good karma, quite a good conditions to be able to listen to this teaching together and get the benefit from it. All right. So let's start together with 3 sounds of the bell. Actually, one of our Sangha members, I guess they knew that I didn't have a bell, that we don't have any bells here at this temple, so they sent me one, and we can all enjoy that together this morning. And as we hear the sound of the bell, we can listen to it as if it is the Buddha's voice, or the voice of enlightenment that is reaching out and connecting with us and kind of calling us to the present moment. Okay, so we can enjoy the sound of the bell together, courtesy of generosity. Okay, so let's get right into the reading here. So, prerequisites of the Chan training, prerequisites of the Zen training. And from here on out, Zen will be said as Chan. Chan is the original, more original word for Zen. The object of Chan training is to realize the mind for the perception of self-nature. That is, to wipe out the impurities which soil the mind so that the fundamental face of self-nature can really be perceived. Impurities are our false thinking and clinging to things as real. Self-nature is the meritorious characteristic of the Tathagata wisdom. Tathagata is this honorific title for the Buddha, the enlightened one. So self-nature is the meritorious characteristic of the Tathagata wisdom, which is the same in both Buddhas and living beings. If one's false thinking and grasping are cast aside, one will bear witness to the meritorious characteristic of one's Tathagata wisdom and will become a Buddha. Otherwise, one will remain a living being. For since countless eons our own delusion has immersed us in the sea of birth and death, since our defilement has already lasted so long, we are unable to instantly free ourselves from false thinking in order to perceive our self-nature, true nature, our ultimate nature. As Thich Nhat Hanh was saying last night in our reading, the wave realizing that it is the water. To the point where we couldn't even to say that the wave came out of the water because it was never separate from the water to begin with. Since our defilement has already lasted so long, we are unable to instantly free ourselves from false thinking in order to perceive our self-nature. This is why we must undergo Chan training. The prerequisite of this training is the eradication of false thinking. As to how to wipe it out, we already have many sayings of Shakyamuni Buddha, and nothing is simpler than the word halt. In his saying, if it halts, it is enlightenment. Okay? And the full sentence is, the mad mind does not halt. If it halts, it is Bodhi, i.e. enlightenment. The Chan sect, the Chan tradition of Zen Buddhism, from its introduction by Bodhidharma after his arrival in the East until after the passing of the sixth patriarch, spread widely all over the country and enjoyed great prosperity, unknown before and after that period, referring to Bodhidharma entering into China from India. However, the most important thing taught by Bodhidharma and the sixth patriarch was only this: expel all concurrent causes. Do not give rise to a single thought. To expel all concurrent causes is to lay them down. Therefore, these two sentences, expel all concurrent causes, do not give rise to a single thought, are the prerequisites of Chan training. If these two sentences are not put into actual practice, not only will the training be ineffective, but also it will be impossible to start it. For in the midst of causes which rise and fall, thought after thought, how can you talk about Chan training? How can you talk about Zen training? Okay, so to lay down causes or thoughts is to lay down the heavy load of causes or thoughts to free the mind from defilement. Expel all concurrent causes, do not give rise to a single thought. To expel all concurrent causes is to lay them down. Now we know that the sentences expel all concurrent causes, do not give rise to a single thought are the prerequisites of Chan training. How can we fulfill these prerequisites? Those of high spirituality are able to halt forever the arising of a single thought until they reach the state of birthlessness and will thereby instantaneously realize enlightenment without any more ado. Those of lower spirituality will reduce the underlying principle or the theory of this understanding from facts, direct experience, and practice, and will thoroughly understand that the self nature is fundamentally pure and clean, and that distress, those kileshas, those negative states of mind, and enlightenment, as well as birth, death, and nirvana, are all empty names having no connection whatever with self nature. That phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, and that the four basic elements constituting the physical body, as well as mountains, rivers, and the great earth, which are within self nature, are just like bubbles in the sea. So, 2 points here about the high spirituality, low spirituality. This is referring to someone's kind of predisposition towards understanding. Okay, so some people are predisposed naturally to be very skillful at basketball. Some people will be predisposed naturally to have an understanding of this teaching or be able to empathize with it, or put it into practice. And let me read this this small section again. So, those of high spirituality are able to halt forever the arising of a single thought until they reach the state of birthlessness, and will thereby instantaneously realize enlightenment without any more ado. Those of lower spirituality will deduce the underlying principle from facts. So those of lower spirituality will make an understanding of this underlying theory from their direct experiences of practice, and will thoroughly understand that the self nature, okay, Buddha nature, original mind, is fundamentally pure and clean, and that distress, and Thich Nhat Hanh in our reading is calling this ultimate nature, right? The historical and the ultimate. So thoroughly understanding that the self nature is fundamentally pure and clean, and that distress, that is, these negative states of mind, trouble, worry, and whatever causes them, okay, and enlightenment, as well as birth, death, and nirvana, are all empty names having no connection whatever with self nature. That phenomena, so mental and physical experiences, a stomach ache, a mental situation, mental issue, have no connection whatever with self nature. That phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, and that the four basic elements constituting the physical body, as well as mountains, rivers, and the great earth, which are within self nature, are just like bubbles in the sea. These phenomena rise and fall following one another in succession without interfering with the essence of self nature. Therefore, one should not follow illusion in its creation, stay, change, and annihilation, and give rise to feelings of joy, sadness, attachment, and rejection. one should lay down everything with which one's body is burdened, thus becoming exactly like a dead person. The outcome will be that sense organs, sense data, and consciousness will vanish, and that come concupiscence, strong sexual desire, lust, anger, stupidity, and love will be eliminated. When all our feelings of joy and sadness, of the cold of hunger and the warmth of one's fill, of honor and dishonor, of birth and death, of happiness and misery, of blessing and calamity, of praise and censure, of gain and loss, of safety and danger, and of handicap and help are all cast aside, this is the true laying down of everything. To lay down a thing is to lay down everything forever, and this is called the laying down of all concurrent causes. When all concurrent causes have been laid down, false thinking will vanish with the non-arising of differentiation and the elimination of all attachments. When one reaches this state of the non-arising of a single thought, the brightness of self-nature will appear in full. Then only can the prerequisites of Chan training be entirely fulfilled. Further efforts in the true training and real introspection will be required if one wishes to be qualified for realizing the mind for the perception of self-nature. Let's listen to a sound of the bell. So, a lot of questions that may arise in our practice, in our looking into Chan or Zen, are answered, but we didn't to digest that answer. We don't want to practice it. We want to enjoy something or avoid something, right? So to lay down causes or thoughts, okay, to lay down our concurrent causes. So in the midst of these causes, these ideas, these actions, mental or physical actions, which are rising and falling, thought after thought, how can we talk about Zen training? How can we talk about Chan? So now we know that the sentences expel all concurrent causes, do not give rise to a single thought, are the prerequisites of Chan training. So for someone of a high spirituality or very strong disposition, they are able to halt forever the arising of a single thought until they reach the state of birthlessness, and will thereby instantaneously realize ultimate perfect enlightenment without any more ado. Nothing more to say, nothing more to explain. Okay? But for us, for all of us, quite lowly people in some capacity, right? Lowly spirituality, we can reduce the underlying principle. So the theory of a wave's true nature being water, not the wave. And if we are to want to know about if we are a wave and we want to know the truth of our nature, we can spend an infinity looking towards the past, looking towards the future, looking towards all the facets of other waves to try and understand our wave nature. But in fact, this is not the purpose of Chan. This is not what Zen is talking about, and it's certainly not in the realm of Chan training. Okay, we want to look more deeply, and so we can deduce the theory of it, that the nature of our wave and the waves that are around us is water. Okay, the ultimate. But we can only really deduce that or understand that through our experience, through our looking into, very authentically. Okay. So when we can deduce this underlying principle of our self nature being that which is fundamental, or the nature of the water being that which is fundamental to the wave rather than the waves, even though the waves are what is standing out. So you could say awareness itself as the water. We can thoroughly understand that the self nature is fundamentally pure and clean, and that our distress, our negative states of mind, okay, and enlightenment, as well as birth, death, and nirvana, are all empty names having no connection whatever with self nature. Okay? And we can see this self nature as well as the nature for the body to dissolve. That our notions about the body dissolving, our notions about states of mind that we have, birth, death, and nirvana, are all empty names having no connection whatever with self nature. So, this is just to understand the theory a little bit more clearly. Your body dissolving is also a misstep, but it's a pointer to kind of deducing through the theory of, what you think, and your biggest pleasure and your biggest pain and enlightenment and suffering and higher and lower, etc., they have nothing to do with your body dissolving. But even more so, your body dissolving has nothing to do with self nature. These are just empty names. So that is to realize that all phenomena, all mental or physical experiences are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble and a shadow. That the four basic elements constituting the physical body, as well as mountains, rivers, and the great earth, which are within self-nature, are just like bubbles in the sea. These phenomena rise and fall following one another in succession without interfering with the essence of self-nature. Therefore, one should not follow illusion in its creation, stay, change, and annihilation, and give rise to feelings of joy, sadness, attachment, and rejection. So this is going to apply to a lot of our questions that come up as we are practicing this, or listening to these kinds of teachings. We should not follow illusion in its creation, stay, change, and annihilation, and give rise to feelings of joy, sadness, attachment, or rejection. One should lay down everything with which one's body is burdened, thus becoming exactly like a dead person. So when all our feelings of joy and sadness, of the cold of hunger and the warmth of one's fill, of honor and dishonor, of birth and death, of happiness and misery, of things being the way we want them to be, and things not being the way that we want them to be, of praise and censure, of gain and loss, of safety and danger, and of handicap and help, are all cast aside, put to the side. This is the true laying down of everything. To lay down a thing is to lay down everything forever, and this is called the laying down of all concurrent causes. When all concurrent causes have been laid down, false thinking will vanish with the non-arising of differentiation and the elimination of all attachments. So differentiation says it to recognize or ascertain what makes something or someone different. So identifying differences, noticing differences. So that maybe we can say that the awareness itself um, is inclusive of all differences, but is not participating in any differentiation. Like a forest does not discriminate between one tree or the other. But our normal way in walking in the world and acting in the world is to differentiate. This is the door to the toilet. This is the door that leads to outside. But when all concurrent causes have been laid down, false thinking will vanish with the non-arising of differentiation and the elimination of all attachments. When one reaches this state of the non-arising of a single thought, the brightness of self-nature, the brightness of true nature, will appear in full. Then only can the prerequisites of Chan training be entirely fulfilled. Further efforts in the true training and real introspection will be required if one wishes to be qualified for realizing the mind for the perception of self-nature. Does anyone have any thoughts or sharing about what we've read so far? Anything has spoken to you, or you develop any insight into anything? For me, I feel a lot of like a deep compassion in these words and how they're presented. And I also feel there's a sense of accessibility while also pointing to this um, just the oceanic quality, how deep, how full, how comprehensive this accessibility and inclusivity is, this freedom is. I mean, for me, it rings out so truly in this mind of myself that's so often to be judgmental and, well, no, this is what's good, this is what's bad, and gives a lot of weight and importance to that differentiation. The differences between this state and that state, this person, this way, that way. But here, pointing to Master Su Yun, here pointing to the fact that um, actually the prerequisite to practice Zen, to experience Zen, is to put down this differentiating mind, to kind of see through it. Um, Drew over on YouTube left a comment, said, "Not an insight, but the quote of the wave knowing itself to be water resonates with me greatly. I find peace in it, yet also a deep unknowing feeling too. It's freeing." Yeah, Drew, I definitely also connect with this deep unknowing. It's almost like this teaching gives me permission to not know and to put the discrimination and the complicated thinking and the attachment to phenomena aside, to lay down all these concurrent causes. Donald?
Question about that, if that's all right. I was just wondering what the ultimate is. Is the ultimate the same as just the present moment?
What do you say, Donald? I couldn't quite hear you.
I was wondering what the ultimate is. Is it the same as just the present moment?
Okay, so is the ultimate the same as the present moment? Well, the present moment is another one of these waves. And so we really couldn't even to say, is the ultimate the present moment, because the ultimate the present moment is not separate from the ultimate. That's why it's the ultimate. Right? It's like, does a wave pollute the nature of the ocean? No, because a wave is the ocean. How could it pollute it? How could it stain it or stick out from it? It is it. It was never separate from it.
I wanted to add, uh, in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, it says, as flames are of a fire and waves of an ocean. So we are the waves of the universe, or the universe waves with us.
Really like that.
So let's continue. And the next line here is really kind of a stark answer for the situation that we're in. Recently, Chan Buddhists often came to inquire. So, many of us here wouldn't necessarily call ourselves Chan Buddhists. And also, we're in this modern wave of TikTok and YouTube, and a lot of us are living in the West. And so there's just our amenities, our conditions are so indulgent, right? Here we're talking about, maybe close to 100 years ago or so, when recently these Chan Buddhists, these devoted Buddhist practitioners, show up to the master's door. Okay. And they're speaking in traditional Chinese and all this. So, let alone what we're doing here, right? Which is just kind of an ad hoc way of trying to broach this topic and work with it. So, recently, Chan Buddhists often came to inquire about all this. As to the Dharma, right? So that is as to the Buddhist teachings and what we're talking about here. As to the Dharma, fundamentally, there is no such thing. Because as soon as it is expressed in words, the meaning will not be true. Just see clearly that mind is Buddha, and there will be no more ado. So what is Buddha? Well, as soon as it is expressed in words, the meaning will not be true, but I'll share anyway. Buddha is awake, aware, free, limitless, not limited by a particular place or a particular time or a particular experience, mental or physical. Not limited to a particular perception, particular feeling, particular sight or sound, or as we looked at before, as Master Suyan said before, in the midst of this constant arising and passing away of thought after thought and experiences after experiences that we are involved with, how can we talk about Zen? How can we talk about this training? Expel all concurrent causes. Do not give rise to a single thought, to put aside, to put down all differentiation, focusing in on the differences. So if no thing is different from another thing, what kind of situation are we in? What seemed to be something related to awareness itself that's not obstructed, certainly not contrived or complicated, because the complication arises from this thing being different from that thing, good being different from bad, progress being different from the opposite of progress, moving forward, moving back. So recently, Chan Buddhists came to inquire about all this. As to the Dharma, as to the Buddhist teachings or the truth teachings, such as these, fundamentally, there is no such thing. You have been misled. Because as soon as it is expressed in words, the meaning will not be true. Just see clearly that mind is Buddha, and there will be no more ado. This is self-evident, and all talks of practice and realization are the demon's words. Right? This is a dramatic perspective, but is very alive, is very intimate. Okay, this is talk of practice and realization, like as wholesome as we can get. Not just training the body, not just to have a tuned up, super healthy, super well trained body as a human being. We're talking even more subtly about the mind, right? I oftentimes tell the young people, if you are the best looking, most strongest, most fastest person in the world, but your mind is anxious and depressed and suffering, end of story. Not a fun time. Okay? If your body is in great peril and unwell and sick, and maybe you only have a few days to live, maybe you can't walk or move your body or take care of yourself alone physically, but your mind is free, limitless, boundless, happy, joyful, calm, then that's the situation you're in. So, not just to talk about this, the practice and the development of the body, but the mind, right? The mind for the purpose of liberation, okay? Being a good person, doing good deeds, etc. Just see clearly that mind is Buddha and there will be no more ado. This is self-evident, and all talks of practice and realization are the demon's words. Why are they the demon's words? Because as soon as it is expressed in words, the meaning will not be true. Just see clearly that mind is Buddha, and there will be no more ado. So we are spending a lot of time listening to demons. We shouldn't be surprised we're getting into such a mess, right? Because we are listening to the demon's words all the time. But this is from the perspective of realizing our self-nature, our true nature of no birth, no death, no coming, no going, no arising, no passing away, no safety, no danger. This is the open, limitless, boundless mind of the Tathagata, right? So just see clearly that mind is Buddha and there will be no more ado. Now, for people who grew up in Buddhism or in this society, in this culture, that has a depth of meaning, and probably for a lot of us who are here, it also has a depth of meaning. But the Buddha is free. The Buddha can walk out the door with just the clothes on his back, or what have you, and walk and be free. No need to turn back. And this isn't a fugue state. This isn't falling into a state of madness or something like that, and now you're wandering around. Okay, this is to be free and aware and awake and at peace and grounded in freedom with each breath and with each step and with each moment. This is to realize the nature. This is the way of realizing its true nature, which is the water. No separation, no discrimination. Okay. Bodhidharma, who came to the East to directly point at woman's mind for the perception of self-nature, leading to the attainment of Buddhahood. Okay, so there's a traditional koan way of kind of like a thought puzzle or an invitation to break through any attachment to conceptual thinking will be, why did Bodhidharma come to the West? Why did the first Zen master go from India to China or to the East? So Bodhidharma, who came to the East to directly point at woman's mind, it says man's mind, but how about a woman? Directly point at woman's mind for the perception of self-nature leading to the attainment of Buddhahood. Okay? Directly pointing at the human's mind for the perception of self-nature leading to the attainment of Buddhahood. Clearly indicated that all living beings on earth were Buddhas. The outright cognizance of this pure and clean self-nature, together with complete harmony with it, without contamination from attachment to anything, even attachment to the self-nature, this concept of a self-nature or a true nature, and without the least mental differentiation, while walking, standing, sitting, and laying by day or night, is nothing but the self-evident Buddhahood. So the outright cognizance of this pure and clean self-nature, pure and clean present moment awareness, something close in that same realm, but we're talking this pointing is a little bit more clear. Self-nature is a better way of saying it. The outright cognizance of this pure and clean self-nature, together with complete harmony with it, without contamination from attachment to anything. So not contaminating this self-nature with attachment to anything, including self-nature, what you view that or understand that as. And without the least mental differentiation, this being different from that. Without the least even little tiny bit of that, while walking, standing, and sitting and laying, by day or night, is nothing but the self-evident Buddha. It does not require any application of mind or use of effort. Moreover, there is no place for either action or deed, and no use for words, speech, and thought. For this reason, it is said that the attainment of Buddhahood is the most free and easy thing, which relies only on oneself and does not depend on others. If all living beings on this earth are not willing to pass long eons through these successive 4 kinds of birth, in the 6 realms of existence, to stay permanently stuck in the sea of suffering, and if they wish to attain Buddhahood with the accompanying enjoyment of true eternity, true bliss, true personality, and true purity, they should sincerely believe the true words of the Buddha and patriarchs and lay down all attachments without thinking of either good or evil. All of them will certainly be able to become Buddhas on the spot. Okay. So let's listen to that again. All right. So why did Bodhidharma come from India to the East, to China? Well, to directly point at the human's mind for the perception of self-nature leading to the attainment of Buddhahood, leading to the attainment of enlightenment. So Bodhidharma clearly indicated that all living beings on earth were Buddhas. The outright cognizance of this pure and clean self-nature, together with complete harmony with it, without contaminating it or without any contamination from attachment to anything in the present moment. Okay, our story version of ourselves is never going to be a Buddha. So this is also the dropping away. This is your storyboard, taking your storyboard and throwing it out of your room. Hopefully it doesn't hit anybody on the head. Okay, you put that out of your room. This is not a place for that. And if you're looking through that lens, you're not going to understand anything. Okay, that storyboard. It's like a meteor. Okay, a very big meteor, a very big comet heading straight for Earth. Okay, straight for LA. And I hold up my storyboard to block it, to protect myself. Wait, now Bixby's talking to me. Bixby's realizing self-nature now. The comet doesn't care, and also the self-nature, okay, does not care about our storyboard. The Buddha is not related to our storyboard. The comet doesn't care. It's going to go right through it. Okay. So the outright cognizance, the outright stabilized awareness of this pure and clean self-nature, together with complete harmony with it, that is, without contamination from anything, without contamination from attachment to anything, so not bringing in or involved with our attachment to anything, and without the least mental differentiation, so that we're not looking at the differences between things. And this is what we practice in meditation to a large extent, if we're practicing properly. We're not contaminating our awareness with attachment to gain anything or to avoid anything. And we're also not applying mental differentiation. We're not noticing, oh, this is different from that. We are just aware of arising and passing away without the differentiation of it. Just the awareness itself, maintaining that while walking, standing, sitting, and laying down at all periods, day and night, is nothing but the self-evident Buddha. Self-evident, clearly evident, clearly recognizable, easily recognizable true nature. It does not require any application of mind or use of effort. Moreover, there is no place for either action or deed, and no use for words, speech, and thought. So there is no place for either action or deed, and no use for words, speech, and thought. For this reason, it is said that the attainment of Buddhahood is the most free and easy thing, which relies only on oneself and does not depend on others. If all living beings on this earth are not willing to pass long eons through the successive 4 kinds of birth in the 6 realms of existence, so these kinds of birth, being born into an egg, a womb, different kinds of being born, and then the 6 realms of existence, just higher and lower realms, basically, to be kind of in a God realm, a human realm, like a spirit or a ghost, different states. If these living beings on this earth are not willing to pass through all these realms and to stay permanently immersed in this sea of suffering, and if they wish to attain true eternity, true bliss, true personality, and true purity, they should sincerely believe the true words of the Buddha and the patriarchs, and lay down all attachments without thinking of either good or evil. All of them will certainly be able to become Buddhas on the spot, just like that. All Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and patriarchs of past generations did not take the vow of liberating all living beings without warrant for so doing. They did not take vain vows and did not tell a deliberate lie. The qualification above referred to is in the state provided by nature. Okay, so this self nature, this quality, this way, this truth, okay, this recognition, this reality, okay, the qualification above referred to is in the state provided by nature. It is self existing, it is naturally existing. It's not that you do something or act in a certain way to create this or to maintain this. It's a state provided by nature. It is in and of itself there. Of course, goes without saying, self existing. Okay? It is so. Moreover, the Buddha and patriarchs, so the Buddha and the great masters descending since the Buddha, so these enlightened masters who have expounded it again and again, and their injunction in this respect had also been repeated. Injunction, yeah, so their direction, their guidance, etc. The Buddha and these enlightened masters, one of which we're reading from right now, theirs were true words, words corresponding to reality, which did not contain an atom of falsehood and deception. However, all living beings on this earth have been, for countless eons, deluded and sunk in the bitter ocean of birth and death, rising and falling in their endless transmigrations, taking, this form, that form, version 2.0, version 3.0, pleasant form, unpleasant form. Your storyboard. Being deluded, confused, and upset, they turn their back on enlightenment and unite with impurities. How often are we doing this? Constantly. Okay? They are just like real gold thrown into a manure pit, where it not only falls into disuse, but is also deplorably soiled. Because of his great mercy, the Buddha was compelled to set up 84,000 Dharma doors, which is limitless Dharma doors to enlightenment, so that living beings of different natural capacities could use them to cure the 84,000 ailments caused by their habitual concupiscence, so their habitual lust, anger, stupidity, and love. In the same way you are taught to use a shovel, brush, water and cloth to wash, brush, polish, and scrub the dirty piece of gold. Therefore, the Dharma doors expounded by the Buddha are all excellent dharmas, which enable one to see through birth and death and to attain Buddhahood. The only question being the adaptability or otherwise of individual potentialities. These Dharma doors should not be divided arbitrarily into superior or inferior ones. Those introduced into China are the Chan school, the discipline school, the teaching school, the Pure Land school, and the yoga school. Of these 5 Dharma doors, it is up to each person to choose the one which is suitable to their natural character and inclination. And they will surely reach their goal if only they stick to it long enough without change of mind and deeply penetrate it. Okay, so that's where our reading will end today. We take a few moments to do nothing, do not discriminate or differentiate, pick and choose in any way. Okay, dear friends, thank you so much for joining me this morning. May you be happy, peaceful, free from suffering, and may you realize your self-nature in each and every breath, each and every moment. We will continue this reading tomorrow morning, and of course, this evening, afternoon, we have our Buddhist book club at 5 p.m. California time. Okay? Take care. Thank you.